Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we're going to create our very first Route 53 zone, and we're going to point it to an elastic load balancer which will point back to an EC2 instance that we provision. So it's basically the basics of Route 53. So the first thing we're going to need to do is go over and log into the AWS console. Okay, so I've logged into the AWS console and I'm going to go over to EC2. You can see that I'm in Ireland. You can be in any region that you want. And I'm going to go ahead and hit launch instance. And I'm going to launch our standard Amazon Linux AMI. And I'm going to use a T2 micro. And I'm going to keep all my settings the same as the default settings. But I am going to write a little bootstrap script. So I always start with the shebang, then the path to my interpreter. And then the first thing I'm going to do is install Apache. So yum install httpd -yes, and then I'm going to, once the service has been installed, I want to start the service, so it's going to be service httpd start, and then I'm also might want to apply updates, so we'll do yum update -yes, and then I want to create a little web page, so we're going to say echo, and then it's going to be hello cloud gurus, and then we are going to output that to our basically our var www html directory, and we're going to call this index.html. Okay, and that's basically going to be our bootstrap script. So we've installed Apache, we have started Apache, we've run our update, and then we have just created this little web page called Hello Cloud Gurus, and we're storing it over in our var www.html.index.html. So go ahead and hit next. We'll create, leave everything default, and I'm just going to tag this my web server, and go ahead and hit next. We then want to use an existing security group that allows port 80 in, which I've got configured from our EC2 section of the course. And I'm going to go ahead and launch this. And I'm going to use my existing key pair for this. So I've now launched that instance, and you're going to go ahead over here and go to view instances. And I'm just going to pause the video while I wait for this web server to come back up online. Okay, so my little web server is now up online. We can see the instance state is running, and I've grabbed the IP address and I've just opened a new tab and dropped the IP address in there, and you can see the website is showing Hello Cloud Gurus. So my little web page is now working, which means Apache and everything is working. So now what I want to do is go ahead and create a load balancer. So I'm going to go to load balancers and create load balancers, and I'm just going to call it my ELB. And then I might just put Ireland in there as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the rest of things as their default. Go ahead and assign our security groups. I'm going to use the MyWebDMZ security group and go ahead and hit next. I'm going to configure my health check, and I'm going to run the health check off index.html because we know that that site is up and running. And I'm just going to lower all these, the health check intervals so that we can get this up online much quicker. So I'm going to say my health check interval is every 10 seconds. An unhealthy threshold is going to be 2, and a healthy threshold is going to be 3. So this should become healthy within the next 30 seconds. I'm going to go in and add my EC2 instance and go ahead and add my tags. Just go ahead and hit review and create, and now I'm going to create this load balancer. So go there, and it's going to take a little bit of time for this instance to pass the health checks. So I'm just going to pause the video while I wait for this to come into service. Okay, so you can now see that this Elastic Load Balancer is in service, which is great, and we're basically ready to go. So we now go back over to Route 53, and this will be the first time I've logged into it on this account, so we might get a splash screen. So there we go. And what we want to do is click the Get Started Now, and we're going to go in and hit Create Hosted Zone. So currently I have no hosted zones, so I want to create one. So I'm going to use my domain name that I've bought earlier through GoDaddy, and it's called aforce.guru. And this is actually an idea I'm sort of thinking about, launching a Salesforce training academy, very similar to a cloud.guru. Aforce.guru would teach Salesforce, but I haven't actually made up my mind as to whether or not I want to go down that route yet or not. So right now, I'm going to use aforce.guru as my example, and I can put in a comment here, and I can also choose my type. So I can have a publicly hosted hosted zone or a private hosted zone for Amazon VPC. So you can actually use Route 53 now within Amazon VPC to resolve domain names. But for the purposes of this lecture, we're just going to do public hosted zone. And go ahead and hit create. Now it will take a little bit of time, but there we go. And what it does is it creates two records by default. It creates a start of authority record, which we can see here, and it also creates our name server records. And you can see 4 different values, and you'll notice that the top level domain name is always different as well. So you get a lot of redundancy built in to this. So if for some reason this particular name server went down, you still have 3 other name servers that are going to redirect this to Route 53. So what we need to do now is we need to cut and paste this name server record, and go ahead and click in here and just hit copy. You can also do it across over here, it's a bit easier. And then I'm going to go ahead to GoDaddy, and I'm in actual GoDaddy's basically splash screen where I can change the name servers. And you can see right now it's ns.domaincontrol.com. I want to go in and do a custom one. I'm going to add my own custom name servers, and I just enter it in here and go add another. And so I'm going to do this for all 4. So I'm going to pause the video here quickly while I do this. Okay, and so there I've entered in my 4 different ones, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And this can take a little bit of time. It even says here changes may take a few moments to take effect, but it's normally a couple of minutes before it propagates out. So now that I've done that, I've got my 2 DNS records here. What I need to do is configure my naked domain name or my zone apex record, and that's basically I need to create a record set that will tell my naked domain name or my my zone apex record where to go. So remember, that's without the www, so it's literally just aforce.guru. Now the naked domain name record can only be an A record, so I need to go and get the A record of my Elastic Load Balancer. But of course I can't, because Amazon won't give you the public IP address of your Elastic Load Balancer. So what do? Well, we go in and we create an alias. So I'm going to click here and say alias, and we are going to enter in our target address here. And if you actually click inside the box, it will automatically populate. So we can see here it's my ELB island, and then it's got the DNS address there. So I'm going to click on that. We've got our different routing policies here. We're going to have in the next lecture, we're going to go through what those different routing policies are. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as simple. And we're also going to evaluate our target health. We're just going to leave that as no. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And now we've created our A record, aforce.guru. Now, if all this has worked, what we would now be able to do is go in here and just type in aforce.guru, and we should be able to get our new domain name. So aforce.guru, and hopefully, and it hasn't quite resolved yet, so it can take a little bit of time to propagate. So I'm just going to pause the video for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to refresh the screen, and then hopefully we will be able to view aforce.guru. Okay, so I'm going to try and refresh this page again, and now you can see it resolves to Hello Cloud Gurus. And over here I was actually just testing the DNS of the load balancer, making sure it is correct. But now the naked domain name of aforce.guru now points to our Elastic Load Balancer, which then resolves to our EC2 instance, and then it brings up our index.html page saying Hello Cloud Gurus. So that's it for this lecture, guys. In the next lecture, we're going to cover off the different routing policies for Route 53. And remember, you can always see them when you go in to create a new record set, and you have your routing policies down here. So we've got simple, weighted, latency, failover, and geolocation. So in the next lecture, I'm going to explain what it is those things are. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.